Don't skip this story. If you miss the last 5 minutes, you'll miss the biggest twist. Before we begin, please take a second to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment. Family is the greatest blessing. Your support motivates us to bring you more emotional stories like this. Now, let's begin. It was 5 minutes before 7 p.m. After fighting through the city's terrible traffic, I finally parked my car in front of my house. Even after turning off the engine, I stayed in my seat for a few moments. My heart felt unusually heavy. Today was my only daughter Tanya's 22nd birthday. For the past month, she had reminded me every single day, "Dad, please don't be late this time." I smiled every time and promised, "I won't, sweetheart. I'll be the first one there." But life doesn't always let us keep our promises. An emergency meeting at the office, endless traffic, and once again, I was late. I picked up the gift box from the passenger seat. After searching for weeks, I had finally bought her the watch she had always wanted. When she was little, she used to ask, "Dad, does time ever wait for anyone?" I would smile and reply, "No, sweetheart, time waits for no one." Tonight, I wished time had waited just a little longer for me. I stepped out of the car and slowly walked toward the front door. Inside, I could hear laughter, music, and people clapping. The birthday celebration had already begun. I reached for the doorbell, but before pressing it, I heard Tanya's voice from inside. "Everyone, can I say something?" I froze. Then I heard the words that shattered my heart. "Today is the happiest day of my life, but honestly, I wish Dad hadn't come." My hand began to shake. The gift box almost slipped from my fingers. I stood silently outside the door, unable to move. Tanya continued, "Since I was a little girl, Dad has never arrived on time for any of my birthdays. Every year, it was the same excuse. Work was important. Today is no different. I've stopped expecting anything from him." The room fell silent. My wife, Neela, spoke softly. "Don't say that, dear. Your father loves you more than anything." Tanya smiled sadly and replied, "Love means nothing if it never gives you time." Those words pierced my heart. For the first time, I realized that while I had spent my life working to provide for my family, I had slowly lost the people I was working so hard to protect. For a few seconds, I couldn't breathe. The words my daughter had just spoken echoed over and over in my mind. Love means nothing if it never gives you time. I wanted to walk away, to get back into my car and disappear. Maybe she was right. Maybe I didn't deserve to be called her father. But then I looked down at the small gift box in my hand. I had promised myself that no matter what happened tonight, I would finally tell her the truth I had hidden for 17 long years. Taking a deep breath, I slowly opened the front door. The music stopped instantly. Every eye in the room turned toward me. Tanya looked at me for a second before lowering her eyes. No one said a word. The silence was louder than any argument. I forced a smile and placed the birthday cake on the table. "I'm sorry I'm late," I said quietly. "I know. I've said those words too many times." Tanya crossed her arms. "You don't have to apologize anymore, Dad. I'm used to it." Her voice was calm, but every word felt like a knife. I nodded slowly. "You're right. I've failed you more times than I can count." Everyone in the room remained silent. Then I reached into my coat pocket and pulled out an old brown envelope. The edges were worn, as if it had been opened and closed hundreds of times. I held it out to Tanya. "This belongs to you." She looked confused. "What is it?" "It's the reason I was late, not just today, but almost every birthday you've ever had." She frowned. "I don't understand." "You will. Open it." With trembling hands, she took the envelope. Inside was a faded letter and several hospital bills dated 17 years ago. As she unfolded the first page, a small photograph slipped onto the floor. She picked it up. It showed a little girl lying in a hospital bed, attached to oxygen tubes. Her eyes widened. "That's me." I nodded. "Yes. When you were 5 years old, doctors told us you needed emergency heart surgery. The operation cost more money than I had ever seen in my life. I had two choices: spend every moment with you, or work every possible hour to keep you alive. Tears slowly filled my eyes. So every birthday, every overtime shift, every late night. I wasn't choosing work over you. I was choosing your future. The room fell completely silent. Tanya stared at the hospital papers. Her hands began to shake. She looked up at me, unable to say a single word. Tanya slowly wiped the tears from her face. She looked at me for a long time before asking in a trembling voice, "If all of this is true, why didn't you tell me before?" I smiled sadly. Because I never wanted you to feel guilty. I wanted you to remember a father who worked hard, not a father who expected gratitude. She lowered her head. The room was completely silent. Even the guests couldn't hold back their tears. Just then, my phone rang. I looked at the screen. It was the hospital. I quickly declined the call. But only seconds later, it rang again. Tanya noticed. "Dad, answer it." I hesitated. "It's nothing." She gently held my hand. "Please." I answered the phone. "Hello." The doctor's voice came through immediately. "Mr. Rahman, your test results are ready. You need to come to the hospital as soon as possible." My face turned pale. "I'll come tomorrow." "No, sir, tomorrow may be too late." Everyone in the room heard those words. Tanya's eyes filled with fear. She walked closer. "Dad, what's going on?" I remained silent. The doctor continued. "Your cancer has spread faster than we expected. We need to begin treatment immediately." The phone slipped from my hand. The room froze. No one moved. No one spoke. Tanya looked at me in complete shock. "Cancer?" I slowly nodded. "Yes. I found out 6 months ago." She couldn't believe what she had just heard. "You knew, and you never told me?" I forced a weak smile. "I didn't want your life to stop because of me. I wanted to see you smile, at least one more birthday." Tanya burst into tears. She ran toward me and hugged me tighter than ever before. "I'm sorry, Dad. I'm so sorry. I thought you never cared." I wrapped my arms around her. For a parent, the happiest moment isn't hearing "thank you." It's hearing your child call you Dad. Everyone in the room was crying. For the first time in years, our family stood together. But none of us knew. The biggest test of our lives had only just begun. The birthday party ended without anyone touching the cake. The laughter that had filled the house just an hour earlier had turned into complete silence. That night, Tanya sat beside me until sunrise. For the first time in years, we talked like a father and daughter. She held my hand tightly and whispered, "Dad, from now on, I'm going everywhere with you." I smiled. "You have your own dreams to chase." She shook her head. "My biggest dream is to spend time with the person I almost lost." The next morning, we drove to the hospital together. The doctor reviewed my reports once again. His expression was serious. Finally, he looked at us and said, "The treatment is possible, but it must start immediately. Every single day matters now." Tanya didn't hesitate. She looked straight at the doctor and said, "Do whatever it takes to save my father." The following weeks were the hardest days of our lives. Chemotherapy drained my strength. Some days I couldn't even stand on my own. My hair began to fall out. I lost weight. But every morning when I opened my eyes, Tanya was sitting beside my bed with the same smile. She never missed a single hospital visit. She even left her job temporarily just to stay with me. One evening I asked, "Don't you regret giving up so much for me?" She smiled through her tears. "You spent your whole life sacrificing your happiness for mine. Now it's my turn." Months passed. The treatment continued. Then one afternoon, the doctor entered the room with a smile none of us had seen before. He placed the latest reports on the table. After a long pause, he said, "Mr. Rahman, the treatment is working. The cancer has responded better than we expected. For the first time, we have real hope." Tanya couldn't control herself. She burst into tears and hugged me tightly. It felt like the entire world had suddenly become brighter. But just as we were celebrating, the doctor added one more sentence. "There's only one condition. We still need to be extremely careful. The next few months will decide everything." Those words reminded us that the battle wasn't over yet. It had only entered its most important stage. The next 3 months felt longer than the last 20 years of my life. Every hospital visit brought both hope and fear. Every phone call from the doctor made our hearts race. Tanya never left my side. She read books to me when I couldn't sleep. She made me laugh when I was in pain. She reminded me every single day that I was not fighting this battle alone. One morning, the hospital called us in for my final test results. The waiting room was silent. Tanya held my hand so tightly that neither of us realized how nervous we were. Finally, the doctor walked into the room with a smile. He looked at us for a few seconds before saying, "Congratulations, your latest scans show no active signs of cancer." For a moment, neither of us could speak. Tanya covered her face and burst into tears. I closed my eyes and thanked God. After months of fear, we had finally won. As we walked out of the hospital, Tanya hugged me and whispered, "Dad, today is the happiest day of my life." I smiled and replied, "No, sweetheart, the happiest day of my life was the day you were born." A few weeks later, Tanya organized another birthday party. This time, she told everyone, "No one will cut the cake until my father arrives." I reached the house 30 minutes early. When I walked through the door, everyone started clapping. Tanya smiled, walked toward me, and handed me the knife. She said, "Dad, this year, you'll cut the cake with me." With tears in my eyes, I held her hand. Together, we cut the birthday cake. Then she hugged me in front of everyone and said, "I once believed my father loved his work more than me. Today I know, every late night, every missed birthday, and every sacrifice was made because he loved me more than his own life." The room filled with tears. At that moment, I realized something every parent should remember. Children don't always need expensive gifts. They don't always remember how much money we earned. But they will always remember the love, the time, and the sacrifices we made for them. Sometimes, the greatest heroes are not the ones the world applauds. They're the parents who silently sacrifice everything, expecting nothing in return.